Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with Yowamushi Pedal. We are on episode 18, and the last episode ended off with a cliffhanger. We are still in this race with the second years and the third years about who's going to get to the inter high. So I imagine, judging by the way the third years are saying it, I imagine the first three across the line get to go to inter high. Because the third years are going, right? So that would leave three more to fill up that 6 margin, right? So, I mean, it could easily be the first years. I mean, I guess story-wise, you could call it like a bit bullshit in that regard. You know what I mean? But then again, like it's also the thing of like the first years have altered bikes and they're able to keep up with the second years because of it. And it's like, in that, if you're talking about it that way, do the second years even deserve to go? I don't know. I mean, I like Oyagi. I would like him to go. Teshima's a bit up for debate right now. Like I said in the last episode, I feel like, you'll get there. But as of right now, he's sort of like the villain because he talked himself up. You know what I mean? And basically was a bit up his own arse in a way by how he thought he had everything figured out and shit like that. But, Onoda has caught up. He's pulling out some moves that he hasn't done before to keep up with them. We just need to fucking get in this episode and see who wins. So there's nothing else to really say. We're just going to get episode 18, see what we get. Without further ado, let's go. I can't get over the fact that Iwaizumi loves this show, along with fucking Onoda. He loves fucking Love Hime. He loves it so much. Jesus Christ. Okay, episode 18. Well, nice. The only issue I have is like, and I was thinking about it like through the episode. Like, I'll tell you what, I'll start here. Before the episode had started, I knew like you only have 6 available slots for inter high, right? And I've said before, the third years they were always going to go. So you had 3 slots, right? And it's not like Haikyuu with volleyball, where you have substitutes and you can bring people in and stuff, and they can have their time to shine in the tournaments or whatever. I suppose in Haikyuu there was the second years that was it the second years? I think it was, right. There was like 3 characters in Haikyuu or something that just like never really got a go. I think one of them did, and like they got like a bit of a time to shine. But I feel like it's much more harsher with this because of the limit. Like, you can only take so many people, and the third years are always going to go, which means that, when it comes down to things like Teshima and Oyagi with Tadakoro, like they're never going to get to participate with them in a tournament. In a high tournament. I wrote down, I don't know how many tournaments are there in cycling in a year. Because with Haikyuu there was 2, right? There was the inter high for that, and then there was the summer tournament thing, I think, right? So there's always a possibility that they can do it with a tournament. It's just not going to be in a high. The problem is that they haven't mentioned any other tournament. It's not like they turned around and said, "Oh well, there's still like the other tournament we can work towards," So, you know what I mean? The way they were crying in each other's arms. It almost felt like that was it. That was the last chance they'd have to ride in a tournament together. So, I don't know. I mean, I would imagine there would be more than 2. If it's only the inter high every year and that's all you've got, it's a bit lackluster, isn't it? Especially for a sports series where like that's the kind of shit you're building up to. You know what I mean? Unless you're taking like significant time jumps, like, you know what I mean? Because I figure with the sports anime and stuff, it's like, oh well. Because here's the thing with sports anime, right? I've said it before in like Haikyuu and maybe like earlier on in the reactions for this, but like with sports anime, the story can only go so far, really. In terms of, you know what I mean, when the sport is front and center and that's what it's based around, that's what your story has to base around. And you can't just have, like, here's the thing, because after this, I don't know where we go, like, immediately after this training camp, if we go straight to like Inter Highs, like in the next couple episodes, like we start the Inter High like in the next couple episodes and stuff. It's so soon that, you know, you can't have Sohoku like win. You know, because even though it would go against like me and it would subvert my expectations, because I'll be like, fucking hell, I wasn't expecting that, there's still that whole thing of like the idea of like, well, it wasn't necessarily deserved, you know, like, because you have to, for these kind of shows, it's much better to have them fail and come back from that, and then they eventually get the win later on, you know, like they need something to chase. A lot like Onoda in a way, right? He loves chasing, right? He loves to be behind someone with people in front that he can chase after and keep up with. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I picture. I feel like a lot of shonen does that, because that's the feel good in it, right? That is the bit where it's like, you know what I mean? Like when you know, they fail, they get back up, and then when they eventually do get that like big win, it feels enhanced more than it would have done if they just, you know, because if they were just going to go win in this Inter High right now, it would be very disappointing, you know what I mean? Because you have to build up the other schools. You have to build up the other schools to be what they say they are. When you talk about Hakone Academy and they're like, we've got 6 aces, if they just go out and lose, they were all talk and ultimately not very interesting, you know? So I'm going to go out. I was going to say I'm going to go out on a limb. It's not even going out on a limb. I am telling you right now, Hakone Academy is winning this tournament. That I'm saying it is. Because if they don't, I will be very, very shocked and disappointed. I say that. I mean, I've said that before in like other reactions where I'm like, oh, it has to go this way because otherwise I'll be disappointed. But then it just depends on how they do it, right? It's how they, like, if another team wins, it's how they win or how they lose, you know? But I don't know. When it comes down to sports anime, I'm more concrete in my predictions, is that this is how it has to go. Because if it doesn't, then, you know what I mean? Like because with sports anime, the story isn't the heavy part of it. You know what I mean? Like, the story has to follow everything, but essentially it's the characters that make the show. So, you know, I feel like, you know, by allowing the characters to have those moments of failure allows you to see more sides of them, and ultimately you become more attached to them, you know? So for them to just go out and straight up win, it wouldn't feel all that great, you know what I mean? I don't think it will feel like felt deserved. But, like, you know, just like Haikyuu, it's going to be one of those situations, you know what I mean, where it's like, you know, you don't get the chance to play with these, you know, these like the third years and stuff, because they've only got 1 year left. That's it, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know what I mean, with Haikyuu, I remember, like, you know, in tournaments, my thoughts on what was happening was, because I loved the third year so much, I was like, fuck, I want the third years to have something, because they deserve it, you know? And you know, and they were able to get there. They were able to get something, and it was so fucking, it felt so great, you know what I mean? And I'm wondering if that's going to be the case for this show. But like I said, I don't know how many tournaments there are in this year. I don't know if Inter High is the only one. It's the only one they've spoke about. But it could easily be a thing of they lose the Inter High, and then it's like, oh, right, we start training for the next tournament, right? Because to have just one fucking tournament, it just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? So yeah, but yeah. So the race anyway. Naruto came first. I said Naruto. Naruto came first, which I like. I like the fact that he came first, because he did say, like, a little bit before, he's like, this is my shit. Like, I'm the sprinter, that's what it is. Even though he didn't have his underbar things, he was still able to go ahead and fucking win it. Imaizumi came second, Onoda came third. I mean, Onoda managed to push ahead of them, you know what I mean? And that was the thing I was getting at before, is like, I'm not sure how because I like the outcome. I called it. I said last episode, was like, you know what I mean? Teshima right now, I will like him in the coming episodes. You know what I mean? I said that. I called that. Because he was basically made to be the, like I said, quote-unquote villain of this little, you know, this little section of the show. Because it's our first years who, you know, are the protagonists, and they are going up against him, and it's them to overcome him, right? And that was basically what it is. You know, so, and because, you know, I love the fact that, you know, Teshima was so he was so certain in his own head that everything he had got was perfect, so that he wouldn't be overcome, and then he got overcome. It feels great, like, when people are so full of themselves, watching them get put down a peg or two, you know what I mean? But I knew that, like, after this whole thing had finished, and it wasn't a race between them anymore, that, you know, it becomes a part, like, at the end of the day, Teshima is Sohoku, you know what I mean? He's a part of the fucking our school, so, you know what I mean? He was always going to be a character that is sort of on our side. You know, so I knew he would come around eventually. Oyagi, I never. I said that I like Oyagi. Probably, you know, it helps that he was more silent. You know, he never really spoke up. So, you know, there wasn't as much sort of tension that there was with Teshima against the first years. You know. But yeah, this episode, Teshima, really cool dude. You know what I mean? So yeah, he's risen way up in estimation, you know, more so than Oyagi at this point, because he did go out and he had a lot of time in this episode to be the one to go out and spur the first years on, you know what I mean? It's like, you did this, you know what I mean, go out and fucking show them what, you know, what Sohoku's all about and stuff, and you know what I mean, he clearly has a soft spot for Onoda. I feel like everyone does, really, you know what I mean? But you know, he gives some real impact punches to Naruto and Imaizumi, but Onoda was a slight little tap, you know. And he's intrigued by him, like everyone is. And even so, to the point where he came out and give him some cleats, you know what I mean? Those things that you know, attached to the pedals of the bike and whatnot. And yeah. Speaking of which, that was a thing that I'd never fucking thought of before. I remember I talked about, because I think it was Manami that had pointed out that Onoda doesn't have those things. He doesn't have any cleats, right? So he can't attach himself to the bike. And I did talk about, like, those things in that episode, and what I kind of thought about them. They clipped to the pedals, you know, and I don't think I really went in depth on it, because I didn't know exactly what they were all about. I didn't know the reasoning as to why as much, right? Because I'm a person that really likes freedom. I've said before, like, I've tried them on and I've clipped them, like, to the pedals, and I never felt comfortable, like, because I like freedom. I hate the idea of me being clipped to the bike. If the bike goes, I'm fucked. You know what I mean? I like the fact I've got free range, you know, but one thing I never actually considered is, like, you know, there has to be a reason for it, for wearing that kind of stuff, and it completely made sense, and I didn't even know until they actually told me. Like, it's because what you're doing on a bike is pushing. I never even thought once that pulling is another, you know, because the physics of pedals, like, they are attached like a crowbar, you know, like, I mean, I call like a crowbar a crank. You know what I mean? That's the word I was looking for. And that's completely in relation to Resident Evil, if you know that game. You know what I mean? Because that's what a crank looks like. It's like a Z, or I guess an S, depending on which way you're thinking it. But it goes like that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the way a pedal is transfixed onto the what do you call it? Like the gear fucking thing in the middle, right? I guess you could call it almost like a cog, but it's not really. But yeah, so because of the way it's transfixed, there's the pedals are always on complete opposite sides. So generally, if you're pushing one side, when that goes round and the pedal is coming back up, generally, you know, you're already pushing with the other side, so you never really need to pull. But I never even thought that, like, yeah, it's going to be easier, especially with like motion and the momentum of your sort of legs, that if they are transfixed to the pedals, that they completely work in tandem with your leg movements, like 100%, you know. As opposed to if you're like free rein, all it focuses on is pushing down on the pedals as opposed to pulling back up, you know. It means that basically you're not completely focused on one leg at a time, but you're actually in tandem with both legs. So, you know, that was a big fucking revelation in my brain about, like, you know, how cycling and stuff like that is completely different to just regular bikes out on the street with a BMX or a mountain bike, you know. So yeah. It's a bit sucky that I suppose like the second years are kind of done for this year. I mean, I always thought it was like, you know, the outcome of what was going to happen this episode, I feel like wasn't going to be as like deserving as I think it should have been, because at the end of the day, like I said, the first years had altered bikes, you know what I mean? They had things that were taken away from them. You know what I mean? And they were able to. So the fact is that they were able to even keep up with the second year. Well, I mean, I think so. Mainly Oyagi, because Teshima has basically gone out and said that he's not the best cycler. You know what I mean? His body doesn't really hold up to that kind of level of, you know, that the rest of them are at. You know, but to be able to just keep up with them just for like with all the altered bikes and stuff. Even if the second years were to win and they had got through, I still would have been like, well, fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like, if the first years had their full bikes, you know what I mean, with no alterations to it, then, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You're talking about an unfair sort of fight there in a way, you know. But I guess it could be a thing of just like, you know what I mean, your first years, like, you know, you've got time to do this again and again. You know, we'll want to build you up for the following year, not like doing it right now. But if you know what I mean? So, I don't know. It could be easily a thing of building people up to be a part of the team, because, you know, having been around for a full year already, Teshima and Oyagi already are sort of on that level with the third years, kind of in a way, you know. Not, you know, bike riding wise or anything like that, because the third years are still just like way above, but you know, they've been around with them for a year, so, you know, they'll have those sort of connections already, which I feel like is important for a team. So yeah, they fucking mentioned the 1,000 kilometers thing, and that's like, they mentioned certain places. It's, what was it? It's like, I think, was it like Kanto to Kyushu or something? It was something like that. It was around the Kanto region, I know that, because it looked like the map where they were was around like Osaka way. It looked like around where Osaka is, and then across the whole fucking bottom end of Japan. You know what I mean? That's nuts. That's nuts. Because I'm sure at the very far end, that's where like Fukushima is, right? If I remember correctly, I think it is. So yeah, you're talking about the whole fucking bottom end. I had to stop myself, because when I thought about it, I was thinking, fucking hell, that's like the whole of Japan. It's like, it's not. Because it's the bottom end of Japan, because the way Japan works, it goes like across the bottom end and then it goes up, right? So it's definitely not all the way, but still, the whole bottom end, you know what I mean? Cycling from one end to the other, it's 1,000. So to do that in 4 days, it's decent. Yeah, the 1,000 kilometer requirement thing. I was saying that like during because I had to take myself back a bit and be like, wait a minute, they decided who's going to enter high right now, but they're still like, none of them have completed the 1,000 kilometers yet. So my thing was like, well, wait a minute, like, if Onoda's not able to finish, then who goes? Or did they just say fuck it and go with 5? You know what I mean? I thought it was weird, because I'm sure that was like one of the main things they pointed out at the very beginning before they started this training camp. It's like, you finished the 1,000 kilometers. Like, that's obviously a key to getting in there. So yeah, it was. I had to take myself back and be like, wait a minute, what are they thinking here? But, you know, I guess it is what it is. Doesn't matter now because Onoda managed to finish with 9 minutes to spare. Like, that's 9 minutes. Oh, like, fucking hell, like, that's crazy. 9 minutes, like, he could have easily failed that. You know what I mean? With 9 minutes to fucking spare. Like, I don't know how long the laps are, but I feel like 9 minutes is like, I don't know. I don't know if it would take them. I mean, I'm sure I could do like the mathematics across like the last fucking, you know, 5-6 episodes of when they've been talking about like the route and stuff, and figure out, you know, by how many laps they've completed versus like how long it's taken them and stuff like that. That I could eventually figure out exactly how long a lap should take on average. I'm not gonna do that, but like, I don't know how long a lap is, but you know, I'm not even sure if Onoda, if he'd had to do it like one more lap, that he would even be able to do it. So, but yeah, well, regardless, cutting it very close. So yeah, I thought it was very, as well, like a kind of, it was a slight thing. It didn't have to be put out there obvious, like as an obvious like thing. But the fact is that when Onoda broke his pedal, he never once went to the third years and complained about it and whinge and being like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Because then it seems to them, it can easily see from like the third year's perspective as like, oh, he's used like you're using it as an excuse. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't finish because because my pedal broke. And I think it comes back to like ingenuity, or maybe, you know, not using anything as an excuse. And over the course of like, you know, 4 days, you know, doing like having to do it for that long. I mean, honestly, I feel it shows his character. You know what I mean? It shows that he's not willing to use that as an excuse. You know, but I think he wouldn't have been like, you know. I don't think there would have been anything against him if he'd went up and went like, I mean, how am I supposed to do this? It's heavily raining, and you know, I've lost my pedal, and I don't have any, you know, I don't have any cleats. I can't attach myself to the pedals, so you know what I mean. So well done to Onoda for like not even, you know, shows his character, and then Teshima coming through with a save. So nice to both like that. And yeah, Onoda saying that you say, like, you know, Onoda saying the same thing like every time he gets something new, or he learns something new. You know, I'm pretty sure like he says what he said when he got the cleats, right? And he's like going through and he's like, wow, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going so much faster. It's like a motorbike, and I feel so much like better. You know, he said the exact same things when he was behind Naruto and he was getting the, you know, when he was getting like essentially like the slipstream and less wind resistance when he was behind him and stuff. And like everything from then, like in between, like every time he gains some new information regarding it, when he got his seat propelled up, you know what I mean? Like every time it's the same thing. It's funny. It's like he's learning something new every, like, it's I don't know. It's like he's learning. It's like if he was learning the same thing, but then he got amnesia and then learned it again. You know what I mean? Because his reaction to these kind of things is always the same, you know. So I just found it funny. But yeah, so yeah, Sugimoto way off. He mentioned fucking. I'm gonna have to go back and check, but I'm sure he mentioned like 650 kilometers or something. He mentioned that. There's no way he had that long left, because if he did, he only did what, 300. That's stupid. There's no way. If he quit at 350 kilometers, that can't be right. So, where is it? Oh, here we go. Is this it? No. I'm trying to find it. I can't. Damn it. Come on, where are you? I'm trying to fucking copy it.
23時5いやすごいねお前は途中だって雨は危ないじゃないか
Sumo, right? Yeah, 650 kilometers. He didn't fucking honestly. Terrible. Terrible Sugimoto. Terrible. 350 kilometers. He couldn't even, you know what I mean? Keeps bigging himself up like, you know what I mean? Oh, I'm a great rider. All that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? I know all about this. I guess it shows just the different in level. Especially considering that Sugimoto had... He got ahead of Imaizumi and Naruko, right? Like, he did more kilometers over the first day. I guess it just shows it's like that's the difference when Imaizumi and Naruko had like altered bikes where Sugimoto didn't. Not surprising that over the first day it's like taking time to get used to it. You don't get as far over the course of the thing. They just passed them and yeah, and like, damn Sugimoto. Like, I think I was right. When I said like a few episodes ago that like I just feel like Sugimoto is like comedic relief. Like, I don't know if there's ever going to be a time. I would like it. I would like it just for the sake of like not just having a character just straight up like be there for comic relief, but you know, to have him eventually like come round like when they're in like maybe like their second year or their third year, like, you know, if Sugimoto was able to like push it up a level, you know, because I don't know where else he fits in. Because I feel like next year, the second years are going to, you know, get involved. And depending on how many tournaments there are through the year, they might even get in the next tournament, you know? But like Sugimoto, as of right now, I just don't see him getting to any tournament. so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens anyway, regardless with all of them. So yeah, I believe that's the end of the training camp. So where we come up to next, I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to be until the actual tournament itself. If it's anything like Haikyuu in this season, I don't know how many episodes there are in this season. Is it like, it's got to be like 25 or something, right? I'd imagine that's what we're doing. Like the season ends with like the Inter High, like a loss at Inter High or something. So yeah, but yeah, I'm sure there's going to be like an episode to like, you know, bridge the two, because they did that with Haikyuu. I feel like, you know, because you have to kind of come off one, you know, crazy. It's like a midway, like a semi-arc kind of thing, you know. It's like the training camp arc, you know, and then bridge the two arcs. So you have the one, basically the next episode would be working as like a post-training camp arc, pre-Inter High arc, you know. Could be completely wrong, could be completely off base, and could be something completely different, but yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. One of them is the Discord. If you want any information regarding my content, you can get yourself over there. You can also come talk to me at the community as well, and Patreon as well. So I do have a Patreon. If you do want to support me, that would be very much appreciated. There's a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier, $5 a month. That gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week as well. Full length, that is the $10 a month. Gives you access to my full-length library. Everything I react to gets a full length. Exclusive tier, $15 a month. That gives you access to a bonus show that I'm currently reacting to, which is 7 Deadly Sins. Elite tier, $50. Every time you pay $50, you get a choice of a show that you want me to react to, and I will react to it. It will go at the bottom of the list, but I know it's 7 shows. Might take me a while to get round to it, but I will do eventually. But if you don't want to wait that long and you want your show to be reacted to next, then you want to get God tier, which is $100. But that is all. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.